What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and welcome to the beginning of Heaven Official's Blessing, Book 2. That's right, this is the deluxe hardcover edition, and it's the exact same as the normal edition. It just has a cool exterior art, which is very sexy, of the Gambler's Den, and it also has some cool stuff. This is so cool. So the first one was gold. This one is silver. Silver like Hua Cheng's vambraces. I see what they did there. Look at that. Isn't that fucking cool? And then on the back it says, "The very existence of a certain person in this world is in itself hope." That's crazy. That's crazy. And then we got the inside. Would you look at that? Woo! That is so freaking sweet. And then we also got this. He's in the Gambler's Den. And it kind of aligns like this, right? Yeah, we've completed this kind of picture. He's like reaching for him. That's cool. Super cool. I'm a huge fan of the hardcover books. It feels so nice to read them. I really enjoy it. Yeah, CSDL says, "I love that the pictures align. It's so cool, right?" And Bridget has been a member for 49 months. Oh my god, Bridget, how have you been? It's been a while. Bridget says, "Hello, I'm a bit tired today, so I'm just sending this. Have fun." Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll have some fun. If we get a donation today, I have a new donation thing set. Oh, maybe it didn't work. Oh shit, that's so funny. Oh my god, I can't believe Emmy just sent a donation after I said that. That's crazy. Wait, it didn't work. Wait, one sec. It's not working. Oh no. Kate worked very hard to get this for the stream on time, and I don't know why it's not working. Kate says, "Quick, everyone start donating." No, don't. The test isn't even working. Oh no, why is my super chat thing not working? Oh, that's so disappointing. Okay, wait. Okay, Emmy said, "Hi, Kictor. I just watched Other Side Picnic, and it's gotten me back into the light novels. I'm really enjoying the series. They have Ninja Cats." Wow, I've never heard of that before. I've actually never heard of that. But Ninja Cats sounds amazing. Thank you so much for donating. And Marlana just sent $50. Oh my god, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I really appreciate that. Thank you. That is so kind. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just gonna try and get this alert thing to work. That's so strange. Yeah, it's not going. That's so upsetting. Yeah, not even the members or anything is working. Here, one sec. Here, everybody talk amongst yourselves for a second here. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me try this. Let me try this. I promise I will read everybody's stuff in a sec. Oh, good. Okay, then we'll do... There we go! Okay, there we go. Look who we have. We have the beautiful Windmaster with us today. This is new art from Kate. Doesn't he look amazing? Oh, now people are lagging. Oh, good. Oh, good. All right, I think everything's back to normal now. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got Marlana sent a huge donation. Thank you so much, Marlana. And Flower is here and has been a member for 54 months. Oh my God, Flower, thank you so much. Flower says, hello, Kictor. I hope you and Stitch are well. I'm going to graduate this year and I got into my dream university. No way. Oh my God, that is amazing. Congrats, dude. What are you going to be taking in university? That is absolutely amazing. Amazing. I love to hear that. That is the best news ever. Thank you for letting me know. That is wicked. And thank you for being a member for so long. One of my longest ever members. Thank you. And Neko Me has been a member for 7 months and says, packing for moving has been a chore, but listening to Kictor after is always making a good day. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Mary, it works. Hey, Mary donated 5 merits in the communication array. Thank you so much. Mary says, I finally got my Dan May Book Club mug today. And it arrived. Oh, good. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got it. That's awesome. I hope you like it. Thank you for ordering from my shop. There he is. There's the Windmaster. Our gender fluid idol. Yes. Oh my God. I love him. I love him so much. Yeah. Everybody compliment Kate in the chat. Oh, Spazzy, glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that too. Today, I usually end the stream around 7:30. I'll have to end the stream at 6:20 today. So we'll start reading a little bit earlier, I think. MXTX says, I'm going to get a major in animation. Oh my God, I was hoping it was going to be something like editing. That's wicked. And get my bachelor's in fine arts and maybe get a master's in counseling. Oh my God. Wow. And you're smart. That is so wicked. I'm so happy to hear you're going into the fine arts. Like, that's so, so awesome, dude. You're so talented and you're going to have an incredible time. That is wicked. Oh yeah, I heard AO3 is going to be down. Oh my God. That's okay. That's okay. Kate, if I have more time before next stream, I'll do some sort of little animation to the Windy Boy so he can flip or something. But I love him. He's so gorgeous. Greeny the Green says, as a gender fluid myself, I'm always happy to see more Windmaster stuff. Oh, hell yeah. Love that. Oh, man. I feel like I'm just so much stuff happened today. My eyes feel so tired. It was so bright out today. It was beautiful. Oh, Briarbox has entered the Banue arc. Ooh, we're about to enter... We're out of the Banue arc now, actually. Wait, what should it be? Instead of entered the Banue arc, should we entered Ghost City? Should we do that? It's entered... Ghost City. We could do that. Kevin has entered Ghost City. There we go. Allison Graves sent $9.99 more merits than Shi Qingxuan. Oh, thank you so much for donating. I had just finished the chapter 11 stream when this started, but now I have to go do my math homework, and so see y'all next time. Oh, have fun doing your homework. Have fun doing your homework. Briarbox says, I'm so glad I've been around for 30 months. Oh my god, dude. Thank you so much for 30 months. That's incredible. It's made me so happy to make friends, gain confidence, and make projects. I wouldn't have it any other way. Oh, that's the best. That's the best. I love that. I love that. I love having you here, Briarbox. Oh, Rose City Kimono donated 5 merits in the communication array. Thank you. Rose City Kimono says, I got my first whip pick from Kate for an order I made from her. Oh my god, you would freaking love this. And yes to Go City. Ooh, I'm so curious to see what you got. That's awesome. Naj has been a member for 7 months and says, I just finished episode 3 of The Bean Counter. So cute and so much kissing. Really? Oh my god, I've been really enjoying that show. Okay, oh my god, I didn't know a new episode was out today. Oh, I'm so excited. I love Yaoi. I love BL. I love it when the boys are kissing each other. Oh, it's all I think about. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm very excited to see more about that. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Greenie the Greens had just gifted 5 Ghost Flame memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is so kind of you. I really appreciate that. Hey, we're having some killer game nights. If you guys don't know, any members on my channel are able to come to the game nights. Oh, also Orion's Belt. Welcome to Ghost City. The game nights are every Friday at 7 p.m. PST, and this month is Kahoot month, where we've been doing quizzes. We've been doing quizzes on the Heaven Official's Blessing readings and other Danmei trivia quizzes. CSCL sent 10 more merits than Shi Qingxuan. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait, let me see. Thank you so much, Greenie the Greens, for donating the memberships. And Orion, thank you for being a member for a whole year. Thank you so much. Always would be happy to be part of this community. Also, been on my Yuri grind set lately. I love women. I also fucking love women. That's awesome. If you have any good Yuri to recommend, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And CSCL, thank you for donating and for another fabulous recap. And welcome Quinn to Ghost City. CSCL says, recap, Banue reminds of a cringe Shailian line. Shares cringe memory. Hua, only Supremes are allowed to speak to me. Chung shares insecurities. Shailian left with a promise of a face reveal next time and a ring. And the laugh or cry counter is 8. Oh yeah, we got 2 pretty good laugh or cries last reading, hey? Oh my god, oh my god. Yes, so Banue was like, Shailian, you told me you wanted to save the common people, and he was like, did I say that? Did I really say that? And Hua Chung heard, and Shailian was all embarrassed, and then Shailian's talking to Hua Chung, and he's like, you know, I actually said something even more embarrassing than that. I told somebody that if they didn't have a reason to live, that they should live for me. Isn't that fucking cringe? And then Hua Chung was like, what's he say? Although brave, it's foolish, but although foolish, it's brave. And Shailian was like, amen to that, brother. And then they totally made out. Other Side Picnic is Yuri, FYI. Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. And Quinn says, happy kickflip anniversary. Quinn has also been a member for a whole year. Thank you so much, Quinn. Currently working on a Wind Master Diamond art piece. Oh my god, fantastic. That is fantastic. Oh, Empire's Prince says, come to game night and meet Trickter. That's right. That's right. Right now I'm Kickter. Game night, Trickter. I trick you. I make it very tricky. I make the quizzes so you gotta really pay attention. It's very impressive, though, when people get them all correct, because I be trying to trick you. Flower says, thank you very much. You were someone that inspired me a lot to go into a career that I would be happy with. Your story about what led you to becoming a content creator really opened my eyes. That is amazing. That is the best thing ever to hear. Dude, you can do it. If you want to pursue the arts, you can fucking do it, man. I would encourage that 1000%. I, went through all of high school really being interested in video production, and then I went to film school and I got my degree in video production for 4 years. And then after that, I worked as a video director for quite a few years. And one of my video directing gigs was for someone, like another company that had a YouTube channel. And I got to see the back end of YouTube and like how you're able to actually make consistent income on YouTube. And so then I started working on my own videos while I had that job. And then eventually I was able to make enough money on YouTube, literally thanks to you guys and thanks to my membership, that I was able to quit that job and pursue it full time. So if content creation is something that you aspire to, like, it is 1000% doable and you can absolutely do it. And it is worth it to go to art school and have the best time ever and hone your skills, and you're gonna have a wicked time. That just makes me so happy to hear. Briarbox, I sent 9 more merits than Xing Shuan and said, I had a really rough end of my day. Oh no, I actually cried at work because of a bad interaction with a coworker. What? Oh no, fuck them. Let me at him, Briarbox. Let me at him. Made me question myself real bad. So I'm extra glad to have supportive friends here. Love y'all. Oh my god, Briarbox, come here. Bringing it in. Also, fuck whoever made you feel bad. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, dude. Everybody send Briarbox good vibes. Remind them how amazing they are. If anybody in the world should be questioning themselves, it is not you. I think you might have, like, the purest soul in the world. You have the type of soul that they make, like, anime about. Literally, you're so kind. How the fuck could anyone have, like, a bad interaction with you? That's ridiculous. So, I'm sorry that happened. I've had stuff like that happen too, you just have a bad interaction and then you just fucking cry, and I get it, but we're here to pat your back, here to be the shoulder to cry on, here to say fuck them. Yeah. Kate says, Briarbox is a cool dude, can confirm. Yeah, me too, 100%. What did I do today? What did we do? Stitch and I took down all our Christmas decorations. I know, so sad. Put away the Christmas tree. Took off all the Christmas lights and stuff. And, what else we do? Wrote some fanfic. And had a bath. And, what else? I made Alfredo penne chicken pasta. Also threw some peas in there, some broccoli, some spinach. Had to get Stitch to eat her greens somehow. And Stitch and I went for a walk, and then we made affogato, which is ice cream with a shot of espresso on it, and it was so fucking good. It was so good. It was amazing. Did you steal Stitch's toothbrush? No. Funny thing, though, is that yesterday I was cleaning my bathroom and, like, I have, like, just, like, cleaning spray, and I fully fucking sprayed it right on my toothbrush, and I was like, hope this doesn't kill me. I rinsed it the best I could, but, Briarbox says, she called me rude and mean, and were petty as hell by not even looking at me on the way out. She actually took the back door as to not speak to me. All I did was try and help her with something. How could she called you rude? Someone actually looked at you and said you were rude and mean? Maybe she's got issues, man. Maybe she's got something wrong with her. That's crazy. I think that's probably the last 2 things I could ever think of describing you as. That's nuts. Kate says, some people just suck, I guess. Like, literally, right? Oh my god. Cherry just got out of a figure drawing class. Oh, cool. That's awesome. I've been drawing a little bit, too. I have been drawing a lot of Phoenix Wright, honestly. But I'm sorry to hear you're cold. I hope you can get warm soon. Rose City Kimono said, when you think we will make it into the gambler's den, you need to change your backlight to red to match the vibe. You're right. You're right. I've gotten so used to the purple. Let me see. Let me see. Got my special magic lighting button here. Maybe it killed all of the germs on your toothbrush. Yeah, actually. Actually, my lighting app doesn't want to open. We have no lights. Queer people and the queer person reads queer book stream? I can't imagine. Oh, just another says, who do you think is the most good-looking character in the TGCF Donghua? Not including Hualien. Everyone is so good-looking, but for me, I think it's Mu Qing. He's my type. Mu Qing does look good in the Donghua. I gotta say, it's the Earth Master, though. That one shot where he's leaned up against the wall and he's got that little smirk. I think he's pretty hot, I gotta say. Okay. Ooh. For the underwater episode. But we need red. Oh, can we even get red? Ooh. That's kind of red. I feel like the red just brings out the redness in my skin. Oh, we can saturate it a little bit more. Ooh. I feel like it's kind of purple. That's... Oh! That's... Nope, purple. We're back to purple. Oh shit, the app froze. We're stuck in a pinky red. It's not bad, actually. Now I'm strawberry flavored. Jessica says, I hear you, but also male Windmaster looks fine. He sure does. I am also in love with male Windmaster. Let's look at him again. Boom! Ah! He's so hot. This is Kate's design. Kate says, I don't know about looks, but Junwoo's English VA does things to me I cannot fully understand. I get it. I am with you, Kate. I am totally, totally with you. That's so funny. Okay, let's do... I feel like that's pretty red. It goes back to purple so quickly. This is crazy. It's like just that part of my head. Oh. Turns out Ghost City is actually strawberry flavored. Why is it not accepting red as a color? It's crazy. Okay, that's... No, we got orange or pink. That's orange. That's red. I found red, okay? Yeah, that's totally red. Just a touch of red. There you go. There we go. Cherry flavored! Silver Witch says male Windmaster's so hot. I'm so glad this is a safe space. I'm so glad everybody has correct takes in this chat. Oh my god. The red looks good. Don't touch it anymore. Okay. I can change this color. Oh, that looked bad. Oh. Ah! Okay, I feel like this... I feel like that looks good. Okay, we're keeping it here. Briarbox says, gotta finish up work. Probably gonna blast sleep token as I clean washing machines and sanitize the area. Maybe I should bring in some incense to cleanse the space from bad energy. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly. I'm sorry that happened, Briarbox, but I'm sure you'll be able to cleanse the energy and all will be well. Okay. I feel like the red just brings out the red in my skin, though. I know I'm still drop dead gorgeous. Oh, also today, I totally forgot, we filmed the Tokyo Treat and Sakura sponsorship video. I will say, the February boxes, I think, have some of the best flavors out of any of the boxes we ever got. Because it's like, in Japan, it's like White Day, which is like a different type of Valentine's Day. So it's all like cute heart chocolates and like creamy matcha and strawberry flavored stuff. Use code KICKTER if you're going to buy a Sakura box for you or to send to your long distance partner or Tokyo Treat. Same code. It's so good. It is so good. And so we filmed that today. And we also filmed the TikTok video today. Dar Lady says, you look great, Rosie. Oh my god. Thank you. Stop. Okay. Shall we begin reading? Let's go. Let's dive right on in. Okay. Everybody, it's Gaga time. It is Gaga time. Gaga's in the chat. Gaga's in the chat. It's Gaga time! Okay. Chapter 12. In the Palace of Divine Might, Crown Prince meets Crown Prince. Ooh. Shalian knew this ring must have been left behind by Hua Cheng. He held it in his hand and wondered for a moment, what could this be? When Shalian was still an esteemed crown prince, he grew up in the palace of Shanla. The kingdom of Shanla had always reveled in beautiful, precious objects. Collectors who held aesthetics above all else were abundant, and the palace itself was of course glorious and dazzling. Golden columns, jaded steps, innumerable treasures, and precious jewels. The noble children even played with colored gems as if they were toys. Shalian was thus familiar with the sight of riches, and from the look of this ring, it appeared to be made of diamond. But its shape was exquisite. Even the most skilled jeweler likely couldn't craft an equal to the ethereal, natural beauty it emanated. Oh my god. So it's like, picture the sexiest diamond ever, and this is the diamond. That is awesome. Just another. I love to hear that. That is wonderful that you're going to be pursuing art. I love to hear that. If you draw anything, be sure to share it in my community page so I can see it. Moreover, of all the diamonds he had ever seen, this stone was extraordinarily clear, shimmering like a crystal, fascinating and sublime. Sublime. Something is sublime when you, like, look at the mountains and you feel like a sense of God. The fact that Shalian gets a sense of the sublime looking at this crystal diamond ring is so awesome. And Quinn donated. Thank you so much, Quinn. Says, I had a dream last night where male and female Windmaster were kissing. And Blackwater was watching them. Oh my god. Peerless Cork says, Blackwater want to get in on that. Yeah. Yeah. Are you sure you weren't just witnessing Blackwater's dream? Oh my god. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Here's a new word. That scintillating luster made it difficult for him to determine exactly what kind of stone it could be. That's crazy. Wow. The diamond was so scintillating that he's like, I don't even think that's a diamond. That's just this is fucking crazy. I love that description. The description of the ring is so beautiful. Blackwater's happily sat in the cuck chair. Oh my god. Scintillating. Okay, scintillating, not skin. Even if he couldn't tell what the ring was made of, it was certainly an item of extreme significance. If it was found around his neck, then it had clearly not been accidentally dropped. It was most likely a gift from Hua Cheng. A keepsake. Just a simple keepsake. Shalian was a little surprised to receive a memento like this, and he smiled softly. He resolved to take good care of it, and to ask the youth what the gift meant the next time they met. So what's this thing mean? So what's this most sublime diamond in the entire world mean? It's like, what do you think it means, Gaga? All he owned was this broken-down shrine, and in it there was nowhere appropriate for him to hide treasure. After giving it some thought, he decided the best place to keep it was on his person after all, and thus Shalian fastened the silver chain around his neck once more. After running around Mount Eugen and Banyue Pass back to back, Shalian lay paralyzed in Puchi Shrine for a few days. If it wasn't for the kindness of some overly passionate villagers who came with offerings of buns and congee, he would have probably stayed incapacitated for many days more. He spent his time thus, until one day a sudden message arrived from Ling Wen. Return to the heavens at once. Oh shit. Someone's in trouble. Xavian says Hua-Chung just fanning his hands and freaking out after putting it on him. Like just... Judging by her tone, something bad was about to go down. Shalian could guess more or less what it was, and was already mentally prepared. Is this about Banyue Pass? That's right, Ling Wen replied. When you've returned to the heavens, come directly to the Palace of Divine Might. Upon hearing Palace of Divine Might, Shalian froze. Jun Wu was back. Ah! Daddy's home. Since his third ascension, he hadn't seen Jun Wu. As the #1 martial god, Jun Wu spent his days deep in secluded cultivation, or out patrolling the realms and keeping the world at peace. With his return, it looked as though Shalian wouldn't be able to get out of making this trip, and so, after only a few days of rest, he hiked up to the heavenly capital once more. The divine palaces of all manner of gods and immortals had been built in the heavenly capital, each with their own history and style. Together, they formed the great city. There were sculpted pillars and muraled buildings here, little bridges and streams there. There was a transcendent ambience in the air, and clouds diffused beneath one's feet. The heavenly court had a single main road, the Grand Avenue of Divine Might. Although there were many such roads built in honor of Jun Wu in the mortal realm, such mortal monuments were but a hollow mimicry of the true form of the heavens. Kate donated 2 merits in the communication array, thank you, and says, I unapologetically love Sky Daddy, as you should. He is divinely all-powerful, is he not? Shalian walked down the expansive road and headed towards the Palace of Divine Might. En route, there were many heavenly officials hurrying along, but not a single one dared acknowledge him. Truthfully, there were not many to begin with who would acknowledge him when he visited the heavenly court. However, not acknowledge meant no fellow officials would approach and walk with him or initiate any conversation, but they would still nod in greeting and give him basic due courtesy. But now they were pretending he wasn't there at all, as if a single glance at him would get them in trouble. If they were in front of him, they would hurry away. If they were behind him, they would slow their pace, leaving him a wide berth, desperately hoping his feet would carry him meters from them. Shalian had gotten used to this sort of treatment long ago, so he didn't think anything of it. After all, he did just drag down the mighty, newly ascended General Pei Jr. It would be stranger if no one stayed away. Yet unexpectedly, as he walked, a voice suddenly called out from behind him. Oh my god, are you fucking ready? Your Highness! Shalian was amazed at the call and thought whoever dared address him truly had commendable courage. But when he turned his head to look, the junior official that called for that highness rushed past him and ran towards someone further ahead. Little guy! It's fucking little guy in the chat! Oh my god. He called as he ran. Honestly, your highness, how could you forget your identity medallion when heading to the Palace of Divine Might? How would you even get in? Only then did it dawn on Shalian. Of course the address, Your Highness, wasn't directed at him. There were quite a few crown princes in the heavens, so some confusion on this matter wasn't anything unusual. Yet when he glanced over and his eyes landed on the other crown prince, he paused. That young man had strong brows, bright eyes, and a wide smile. The smile was vastly different from those of many other heavenly officials. It was pure and sincere, and added an air of childlike innocence to his handsome face. Although if a less charitable official like Mu Qing provided comment, they would probably call it an air of foolishness. Wow. You forgot your medallion! Oh my god. Kate, your medallion! Now keep it with you. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. This scene in the Donghua, in the English dub, if anyone is confused, the actor that did this super small, tiny role just put his whole body into it, and it's so good. It's so good that the fandom kind of took it and ran with it. It was so super cute. Also, I love that Shalian has, like, Mu Qing's voice in his head of just like, yeah, and if I were to be a bitch about it, this is what Mu Qing would probably say. The young man was dressed in armor and looked exceptionally heroic. However, it didn't give him the air of a warrior, of blood and battle. Rather, it gave him an air of royal nobility, candid and radiant. Shalian froze mid-step and stared at the young man. The two in front sensed his gaze and turned back to face him. When the junior official saw who it was, his face dropped immediately. Shalian lightly inclined his head and smiled at him. "Greetings, your highness." The other crown prince was obviously the type who didn't mind the everyday details and didn't recognize his face, so when he saw someone greeting him, he immediately returned the sentiment with a brilliant smile. He shouted back, "Greetings!" The junior official beside him gave him a subtle push. "Come on, your highness, let's go! We still need to get to the Palace of Divine Might!" The young man, completely oblivious, could not understand why his subordinate would shove him so suddenly. He wondered aloud, "Why are you pushing me?" Shalian puffed out a laugh that junior official pushed even harder, urging, "The Emperor's probably already waiting for us. Please, let's go, your highness." The other crown prince could only give Shalian a confused look before turning to leave. Shalian stayed where he was as they walked away, and soon distant whispers from the lower-ranking officials floated to his ears. "Well, that was awkward. The world is a small place. They're both officials in the heavens. It was only a matter of time that they met. If you ask me, General Nanyang bumping into General Xuan Zhen is a more exciting affair." That's hilarious. People like to watch Nanyang and fucking Xuan Zhen fight. Haha, what's the rush? They'll all be coming face to face soon. Everyone's gathering at the Palace of Divine Might, aren't they? Suddenly, someone commented, "It's not just a small world. Take a look at those two. I don't like to make the comparison, but even though they're both crown princes, His Highness Tai Hua is truly noble. He would never do anything shameful like that, even if he fell from grace." The kingdom of Yong'an was more prosperous than the kingdom of Shanle, so of course the crown prince of Yong'an is stronger than that of Shanle. How the grass grows depends on the land it grew on. Simple logic. The martial god that watched over the north was Pei Ming, the palace of Mingguang. The martial god of the west was Chuan Yizhen, of the palace of Qi Ying. The martial god of the southeast was Feng Xin, of the palace of Nanyang, and the martial god of the southwest was Mu Qing, of the palace of Xuanzhen. And the martial god watching over the east was Lan Qianqiu, of the palace of Tai Hua. When Lan Qianqiu was still mortal, he was a crown prince, like Shalian. Not just that, he was the crown prince of Yong'an. The kingdom of Yong'an was the country that overtook Shanle after its fall, and the founder of Yong'an was the rebel general who successfully overthrew the imperial capital of Shanle. While Shalian drifted in the mortal realm, he had also visited the east, so naturally he knew that the crown prince of Yong'an had ascended. As heavenly officials, it was inevitable that they would run into each other, so he didn't think much of it. Those gossiping junior officials, while they were supposedly whispering, weren't particularly quiet. If their prattling had been about anyone else, they might have been more wary of being overheard, but since this was Shalian, they spoke without fear of him hearing. Perhaps they even found the prospect exciting, so Shalian pretended to have heard nothing and casually walked away. Just then, another voice came from behind and called out, "Your Highness!" Not again, Shalian thought, but this time when he turned around, it was someone who really was addressing him. Ling Wen, with dark circled eyes and arms full of scrolls, approached him. "Everyone has gone to the Palace of Divine Might for the meeting. Be mindful once you reach the hall." Sumo says, right here in the revised edition, Shalian gets stopped by Junwoo's non-human guards. Lan Qianqiu helped him. Non-human guards? What is that? Interesting. Alex says there's a pool on whether they're gonna fight or fuck today for Feng Ching. That's funny. Of course, Shalian was aware of the situation. What do you think General Pei Jr.'s sentence will be? Exile, probably, Ling Wen replied. That's actually not too bad. Not too severe, Shalian thought. Exile was considered a temporary banishment for officials who had committed crimes, meaning the length of punishment was negotiable, and there might still be the opportunity to resume their duty. If they were found to be on their best behavior, they might one day get fished back up, maybe in 30 to 50 years, maybe 100 or 200 years. But to Shalian, this not too bad was, of course, based on his own standards. To General Pei, it would be a different story. Shalian remembered another thing. Oh yeah, Ling Wen. How goes the search for the boy with the human face disease from Mount Eugen, the one I told you about last time? Do you have any news? I'm very sorry, Your Highness. I don't have anything at the moment. We'll work harder on it, Ling Wen replied. Even for a heavenly official, finding a single person in such a vast world was not an easy task. Although the heavens might make faster work of it than mortals, it was still more like 10 years for the mortal realm versus 1 year for the heavens. Shalian thus said, "Thank you for your hard work." By this point, they reached the end of the avenue, and a majestic palace came into view before them. The palace had stood through the ages, yet it showed only enduring excellence and none of its antiquity. Interwoven glazed tiles adorned the golden roof, layer upon layer, binding their scintillation. Shalian looked up and glanced at where Palace of Divine Might was written beneath the golden roof. Also, to note, glaze and golden? Remember we were trying to figure out the color of Lamonji's eyes, and they keep being referred to as glaze? And now here, glazed tiles make up the golden roof. So, we're kind of solving mysteries all over the place. DRZ Gaming, thank you so much for donating. 20 more merits than Shi Qingchuan. And says, kind of late. Hope everyone is good. I went to the a place called Otaku Takeout. Got fried crab flavored chips, roasted chicken flavored chips, and salted egg yolk flavored chips. The egg yolk one is interesting. Ooh, those all sound good. That's awesome. Thank you so much for donating and sharing the cool flavors. That's wicked. Jessica, not another orange-eyed boy. Okay, Shalian looked up and glanced at where Palace of Divine Might was written beneath the golden roof. The characters, written with power and with vigor, were exactly the same as they were centuries ago, unchanged. He lowered his head and stepped into the hall. Within, numerous heavenly officials had already gathered, either in groups of 2 or 3, or by their lonesome, standing in silence. The only ones permitted to enter this hall were heavenly officials who had officially ascended, all imperial sons of heavens, or indomitable overlords, each bursting with spiritual might. They eyed each other in silent pride and judgment, their splendor overwhelming. Gathered here at this time and place, everyone held their breaths and did not dare utter a sound. Upon the throne at the very end of the hall, there sat a martial god clad in white armor. This martial god had a handsome face, and with his eyes closed and his lips unspeaking, he appeared extremely poised and solemn. Behind him stood the expanse of the magnificent Palace of Divine Might, and beneath his feet there were pure white snowy peaks. Wow. That's pretty cool. As if sensing that Shalian had entered the hall, he opened his eyes. That's crazy! Fucking, write that down. Oh my god. Ugh. Oh my god. Those eyes were obsidian black, but bright and clear, as if formed by the melted snow of a lake that had been frozen for millions of years. As he blinked them open, the martial god smiled softly. Shanla, you have come. Kate, how you doing? Oh my god! Dude, what? That's crazy. Oh my god. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shalian inclined his head in a respectful bow and said nothing. When Junwoo spoke, he was not loud, but his deep voice echoed through the entire Palace of Divine Might. All the eyes of the gathered officials focused on Shalian, and he understood immediately. It appeared that this meeting wasn't for discussing General Pei Jr. and the Banyue Pass scandal. The spotlight, it seemed, was on him. Ling Wen approached the throne, dressed all in black and not sparing a word or smile. She drew a line through an item in the book she was holding. My lord, there are a few heavenly officials still on patrol in the mortal realm, unable to return. Junwoo nodded. They have given their notice ahead of time. Ling Wen acknowledged the response, and Junwoo turned to Shalian once more. Shanla, I am sure you are aware as to why you have been summoned here today. Shalian still had his head bowed. I can guess. However, I had actually assumed that a decision had been made on the matter with General Pei Jr. Just then, a lyrical male voice called out from behind. How that matter will be decided is still hard to say. When Shalian turned his head to look, a martial god stepped into the great hall. His hand resting on the hilt of his sword, he walked towards the front. When he passed by Shalian, he stopped in his step, the corner of his lips lifted. Your Highness, I've heard so much about you. This martial god looked to be about 26 or 27 years old, graceful in his demeanor, but resolute in his actions. Looking at his face, Shalian thought he was even more attractive than that statue he had seen at Mount Yujin. It was the kind of handsomeness that could steal hearts, very much the charming type. Shalian didn't respond. Okay, stop! I love that Shalian's like, oh damn, Pei Ming's fucking hot. Shit, okay. Damn. And I thought they were exaggerating with the statue. This guy, phew, I get it. He fucks bitches. I get it. Oh my god. That's crazy. Oh man. He continued. Our little Pei has certainly been in your care. I've definitely offended him, Shalian thought. He returned the greeting. You flatter me. I've heard more about you, General Pei. The words "I've heard more about you" were certainly not a lie. In the past few days, Shalian had skimmed through his scroll and briefly read the legends of some of the more famous heavenly officials. Among them was General Ming Guang, Pei Ming. This martial god of the north was skilled in battle, but the subject the mortals talked of with the most relish was his many monstrous intrigue, the beautiful and the ugly, the stories left behind in wanton alleys. Beautiful stories had Pei Ming spend extravagant amounts of gold to save a famed yet pitiful escort from the brothels. Wait, what? Sorry, let me see this. The martial god of the north was skilled in battle, but the subject the mortals talked of with the most relish was his many amorous intrigues. Amorous! Okay, the way that was divided was weird. Okay, his sexcapades. Everyone's talking about his sexcapades, okay? The beautiful and the ugly, the stories left behind in wanton alleys. Beautiful stories had Pei Ming spend extravagant amounts of gold to save a famed yet pitiful escort from the brothels, promoting her to fall in love with him and henceforth remain pure and true to await his return. Ugly stories had Pei Ming travel 1,000 miles for a one-night stand with a married woman, etc., and so on. On some level, Pei Ming was an awe-inspiring man. After reading through his stories, Shalian thought it was quite unbelievable that after so many years, only one Xuanji had been created from this way of life. Yes, just like Chirong said, the Peis are sluts. Because Pei Ming was accomplished in both battle and in love, his rivals and peers alike took great pleasure in cursing him to die, even better if he'd die from syphilis. But his fate was tough and relentless, and he never caught anything from the many flowers he'd plucked. Wow, that's a good trivia. Has Pei Ming ever caught syphilis? No. He wouldn't die, and he'd even live longer than most of his peers, until finally, one day, he lost a battle. Everyone laughed, thinking, at last he's met his end. But then lightning crashed and thunder roared, and in that moment of imminent peril, he ascended to the heavens. Wow. Those who hadn't already died by his hand probably all died of outrage. After ascension, Pei Ming didn't change his way of life, and the scale of his tales of promiscuity only grew. From fairies and lady heavenly officials to female ghosts and demons, as long as they were beautiful, he would not hold back. Oh my god, he's fucking everybody! No way! Fairies? Lady heavenly officials? Female ghosts and demons? That's crazy. Nonetheless, the charming ladies of the mortal realm still remained his favorite type. Many indecent love stories had him starring as the main male lead, and if it wasn't for Shalian's method of cultivation that demanded purity of body and mind, he probably would have read a few of those books just out of curiosity. Stop! What? That's crazy! Shalian being like, yeah, I'm not allowed to read the sex books, cause, gotta be pure, but I kind of want to read them. That's crazy. Claire says knowledge is power. That is so funny. Oh my god. If it wasn't for Shalian's method of cultivation that demanded purity of body and of mind, he probably would have read a few of those books just out of curiosity. That's so funny! Thus, in addition to his role as the martial god that ruled the north, the mortal realm also worshipped him as the god of love. Even a number of heavenly officials would turn around and secretly pray to him should they bump into him in the heavens, hoping for some fortune in love. It had to be said that, although similar in sentiment, such a title was definitely more fortunate than Feng Jin's unwarranted title of tremendous masculinity. Holy cow. All the heavenly officials present in the hall were well aware of what both of those "I've heard so much about you" comments meant, and many roared with laughter in their heads. Rose City Kimono donated 5 merits in the communication array. Thank you so much. And says, Pei Ming, martial god? Nope, he's a trans Aphrodite. After such pleasantries, Shalian said, what does General Pei mean by hard to say? Pei Ming snapped his fingers, and a corpse suddenly appeared in the middle of the great hall, floating in midair. Strictly speaking, this floating body was just a shell. It had no primordial spirit, completely empty on the inside, but it was covered in blood from head to toe, so by any practical measure, it was no different from a corpse. It had a handsome face, but its eyes were firmly shut. It was indeed Ajiao, or rather, General Pei Jr.'s clone. To have such a thing appear so suddenly before an elegant crowd of heavenly officials inside the Palace of Divine Might was startling. A moment later, Pei Xiu was also brought in, but he still looked different and apathetic, even with shackles binding him. His head was bowed low, and he was silent. General Pei, what's the meaning of this? Shalian asked. Pei Xiu knelt down with the Palace of Divine Might, and Pei Ming replied, During little Pei's interrogation, he mentioned something I found quite curious. Pei Ming paced halfway around Shalian and smiled. I'm quite familiar with little Pei's ability. Even if his clone's powers are reduced and nowhere near the level of his true self, is still quite competent and capable of fighting evenly with the Wrath Ghost. However, he told me that he was surprised to meet a mortal who was so strong that little Pei was unable to even withstand his attacks. Now, isn't that curious? Pei Ming continued. And so I pressed for answers. It turns out at the time, there was a red-clothed young man beside your highness while you were at Banyue Pass. Oh shit. Oh shit. Hearing the words red-clothed made all the officials present shift expressions, and they all appeared uncomfortable. But Pei Ming's next statement made them completely agitated. And this young man in the dark was able to eradicate every Banyue soldier turned wrath in a flash. Now, Your Highness, might you enlighten us as to who this red-clothed young man might be? If it wasn't a wrath, then it must be a supreme that could kill hundreds of wraths in a flash, a supreme dressed all in red. Anyone could guess who that young man probably was, yet no one wanted to be the first to say the name. Shalian cast a glance at the silent Pei Xiu and replied a little unnaturally. Really? I don't remember it very well. There was a caravan trapped in Banyue Pass at the time, and we spent a few days together. Maybe it was someone from the caravan. That can't be right, Your Highness, Pei Ming said. According to little Pei, you and that young man were unusually close. Not like someone you'd just met or had only known for a few days. How can you not recall such a thing? No, you're wrong. That was the truth. It really was only a few days, Shalian thought. Nevertheless, his face gave nothing away. That's so funny. Oh my god. That is so funny. Just then, from the sidelines, a white-clad cultivator casually waved his whisk and spoke up. General Pei, you've only heard Little Pei's side of the story. Little Pei has committed a crime, and he's currently in detention, soon to be exiled. Whether his words are believable is still hard to say, no? Then we shall see if General Nanyang and General Xuanzhen can assist us, Pei Ming replied. Following his line of sight, Shalian found Feng Xin and Mu Qing standing separately in the southwest and southeast corners of the hall. Feng Xin still looked the same as in his memories, tall as always, standing extremely straight, his eyes determined and his brows forever slightly furrowed. It made it seem there was always something irritating him, but really he wasn't irritated at all. Mu Qing, on the other hand, was somewhat different from what he remembered. His face was still pale without much redness, and his lips still thin and pursed, his eyes half-lidded. However, there was an aloof air surrounding him, one that clearly indicated he was interested in neither conversation nor the dispensing of compliments. He stood with his arms crossed, a finger on his right hand tapping his left elbow softly. It was hard to tell if he was at ease or if he was scheming something. I like how Shalian's like, Feng Xin looks exactly the same as how he used to look as my bodyguard. This tall guy who kind of looked mean, but he's not mad. Mu Qing? Something happened to Mu Qing. He looks like a total fucking bitch. While the two were considered good-looking men, each had their own flaws. Hearing Pei Ming call them out, they both looked towards Jun Wu at the same time. It was only when Jun Wu gave a slight nod that they reluctantly stepped forward. This was the first time since Shalian's third ascension that he'd come face to face with the two of them. He could sense all the eyes upon them going wild with excitement. Wild was inevitable. It must be known that the Palace of Divine Might was the #1 martial palace of the heaven, and those without the title of heavenly official had no right to enter or attend court. The first time the Crown Prince of Shanla ascended, Feng Xin and Mu Qing were his deputy generals. At the time, there were only low-ranking officials from the middle court without even the right to scrub the floors of the Palace of Divine Might. And now, not only could these former junior officials stand openly in the palace hall, but their ranks were even higher than that of their former master. What a turn of fate. How times had changed. Ooh. The three of them looked at each other, eyes flitting all over, stealing glimpses at one another, but swiftly turning away and pretending not to care. Who knew what the other two were thinking? However, Shalian had pretty much figured out why Pei Ming had called them out to help. As suspected, Pei Ming said, General Nanyang and General Xuanzhen have both fought Hua Cheng before. I'm sure they can speak with authority regarding the weapon used by that person. So the point of bringing forth the empty shell Ajiao was for the court to inspect its wounds. Feng Xin and Mu Qing slowly approached the floating body. Shalian himself took a few steps forward to take a look, but it was splotched with so much dark blood that it was hard to discern anything. The other two, faces austere, took their time in their inspection. Finally, they raised their heads and swept a look at each other, seeming like neither of them wanted to speak first. Ling Wen prompted from next to the throne, Generals, your conclusion? It was Feng Xin who spoke first, his voice dark. It's him. The scimitar, Ming, Mu Qing added. Shalian was probably the only one among the heavenly officials present at the Palace of Divine Might who didn't know the significance of those words. Umming in the chat! Yeah, umming! The scimitar umming was the very same freakish weapon Hua Cheng had used when he challenged those 33 officials and single-handedly beat them to a pulp, annihilating their souls and dignity both. Inside the Palace of Divine Might, the heavenly officials started whispering to each other, unreadable eyes watching Shalian. Many thanks to the two generals for confirming this fact, which verified my conjecture, Pei Ming said. If the red-clothed young man who traveled next to your highness really was that person, then this matter is considerably more complicated. The white-clad cultivator from before spoke up again. General Pei, do you truly mean to imply that His Highness colluded with the Supreme Ghost King to frame General Pei Jr.? Both times that cultivator spoke, he was on Shalian's side, so Shalian had to see who exactly this curious fellow cultivator was. What he saw was a person with clear, bright eyes. He wore a white, jaded belt, held a whisk in his arms, and had a long sword carried on his back, with a folding fan tucked at his waist. His form was graceful and elegant, his expression spirited, and while he did look familiar, Shalian couldn't recall when he had met a friend such as this. I feel like no one ever draws Windmaster with a fucking sword! In an AU, Windmaster is a lawyer. Ah! Not my Ace Attorney brain rot. A friend! Yay! He's your best friend. So cute. Oh my god. Alex says, please show me more Windmaster with a sword. Yeah, that's crazy. A white jaded belt, held a whisk in his arms, and had a long sword carried on his back. Damn. Pei Ming also gave the man a look, appearing like an annoyed elder who didn't want to deal with children. He shook his head and waved dismissively, dispersing the floating empty shell that was Ajao, then turned around and continued his argument. It may not be collusion. That person is powerful and wicked. Who knows what deceptive tricks he might have used to blind His Highness? Pei Ming intended to pin all the chaos at Banyue Pass on Hua Cheng. Collusion is a big word for Elmo. Shalian rebuked him. General Pei, even if you won't believe me, you should still believe in Lord Windmaster. General Pei Jr. admitted to the crime of luring passerbys to Banyue Pass with his clone, and Lord Windmaster heard everything. Pei Ming glanced at the white-clad cultivator again. Shalian continued. Besides, since we're both here at the Palace of Divine Might, you can simply ask the Emperor whether there are any traces of spells and deception cast on me. Junwu, who sat high above, remained calm and unchanging. That meant Shalian was absolved. Shalian then continued. General Pei, let's keep things clear and separate. Let's not talk about whether the young man I traveled with was Hua Cheng or not. At the very least, even if he was indeed Hua Cheng, that has nothing to do with what General Pei Jr. has done. A Supreme Ghost King might have the worst possible name on people's tongues, but not everything can be blamed on him. He's already defending Hua Cheng's ass. He's like, you are actually a corrupt motherfucker, okay? And you can't be pinning shit on my demon boyfriend just because he's a demon. It's like, I see what you're trying to do here, and I'm not gonna let it fly. Shalian's own expression was composed and neutral when he uttered that name, but many in the hall felt cold shivers run down their backs. Pei Ming replied, Regardless, I believe this case needs to be re-examined. It would be best if the state preceptor of Banyue, that your highness had taken, could be brought in for interrogation too. To interrogate her for what? Torture her to confess a lie? Shalian hadn't yet responded when someone else spoke up. Pei Xiu looked as if he hadn't wanted to remain in the Palace of Divine Might a moment longer. He said in a low voice, General, let it go. What? Pei Ming was irritated. There isn't any spell of deception. This is all my doing. I've disappointed you, sir, Pei Xiu confessed. Pei Ming was right in the middle of clearing his name when Pei Xiu said this. Pei Ming turned cold and he said darkly, What bewitching concoction did that state preceptor of Banyue feed you? Shut your mouth. However, Pei Xiu raised his head. Let it go, General. Little Pei isn't afraid to admit to things he's done. Since I've been caught red-handed, I'm prepared to receive any punishment that is handed down. Pei Ming's face was written with shock, and it clearly read as, "You've always been so sensible. Why did you suddenly go nuts today?" He was just about to kick some sense back into Pei Shou when Junwu spoke. "Enough." The moment that word was said, Pei Ming withdrew his leg and bowed. Thus spoke Junwu. "The case of the Banyue Pass is settled. Take little Pei away. He is to be exiled in a few days' time." After some silence, Pei Ming acknowledged, "Yes, my lord." Lian had only just breathed in relief when Pei Ming continued, "But Nanyang and Xuanzhen have proven that the wounds on that empty shell were indeed inflicted by the scimitar Meng." "I understand," Junwu replied. "That is a whole other matter." "Pray my lord will look into it," Pei Ming said. "I will investigate, naturally. There is no need for concern." After a pause, Junwu continued, "You are all dismissed for today. Shanla, you stay." No! Run away! It looked like Lian would be personally interrogated. The heavenly officials had nothing left to say and bowed. "Yes, my lord." Having been dismissed, the other heavenly officials exited in groups of 2 or 3. When Feng Xin passed by, he glanced at Lian, looking like he had something to say, but he stopped himself. Lian smiled at him, and he looked startled before hurriedly leaving, after all. Mooching, on the other hand, walked past without sparing a look, as if Lian didn't exist. Bitch! And yet he deliberately took a path to pass in front of him. Wow! He went out of his way to make sure he passed in front of Lian to not look at him. The level of petty is crazy. Oh my god. CSCL says, question about Pei Jr. In the Donghua, they made it look like Lian knew both Banyue and Pei Jr., but in the book, it feels like he didn't really know him before. I think they mentioned that he knew of Pei Jr. as a boy that was nice to Banyue, and like I think there was one flashback of that he remembered them like playing together. As for that white-clad cultivator, he walked over with his whisk in hand and a huge smile, ready to speak. But Pei Ming, who had just suffered a setback, walked over too, with one hand resting on his hilt and the other rubbing his nose. He said helplessly, "Qingxuan, for your older brother's sake, can you stop stirring up trouble?" The smile disappeared from the face of the white-clad cultivator. "General Pei, there's no need to use my brother against me. I'm not afraid of him." "You—" Pei Ming seemed to be gritting his teeth in impotent rage, unable to do anything about this. Finally, he pointed at the other cultivator. You've really done in little Pei this time. 200 years of exile." The white-clad cultivator swung his whisk wildly. "That's little Pei's own doing. This has nothing to do with me." Looking like he didn't want to continue this quarrel with Pei Ming, the white-clad cultivator flounced off. Lian thought Pei Ming might stick around to taunt him further, but he didn't, and simply exited the hall directly. In the large and spacious Palace of Divine Might, the only one left besides Junwu on his throne and Lian standing below him, surprisingly, the Crown Prince of Yong'an, Lan Chenchou. Lian thought that strange. Why did he stay? When Lian approached, he saw that the man had his eyes closed and that he was somehow fast asleep on his feet. He's just a little baby. Sumo, there was no kneeling. That's crazy. Lian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Count it!" And feeling quite awed, he gently tapped the young man's shoulder. Your Highness. Your Highness?" Lan Chenchou jolted awake. "What happened?" "Nothing's happened. The meeting is over," Lian explained. Having just woken up, Lan Chenchou was still a little dazed, and he asked in confusion, "Over? Just like that? What did we all discuss? I didn't hear anything." "If you didn't hear anything, then don't worry about it," Lian said. "It wasn't anything important anyway. Come now, time to go back." "Oh." Lan Chenchou went to leave, but when he reached the doors, he looked behind him. Still confused, he nevertheless flashed Lian a big smile. "Thanks for waking me." Shalian waved at him with a cheerful grin. With everyone now finally cleared out, Shalian slowly turned around. Junwoo descended from the throne. Hands clasped behind his back, he came before Shalian. Crimson Rain sought flower, the scimitar a Ming. Shalian was like a cat picked up by the scruff of his neck, and he involuntarily straightened. So, what is going on? Junwoo questioned. This is crazy! Ah! The tension here is like, makes my skin crawl. Ah! Oh my god. Shalian looked at him, then suddenly kneeled. Before Shalian's knees touched the floor, Junwoo reached out and held his elbow, preventing him from kneeling. He sighed. Shanla. Shalian straightened once more, his head bowed. I'm sorry. Junwoo watched him. Are you acknowledging your wrongs? I am, Shalian replied. This is crazy! Oh my god! Oh my god! Then, why not tell me what wrong you are acknowledging? Junwoo said. Shalian was silent, and Junwoo shook his head. I did not think you would know. The Heavenly Emperor inclined his head, gesturing for Shalian to follow, and the two walked slowly toward the chambers behind the hall. As they walked, Junwoo, with his hands clasped in front, commented, Shanla is all grown up now. Naturally, Shalian didn't answer that comment. Junwoo continued. 800 years ago, when I sent you down, I told you to keep in periodic communication with me so you would not have to roll in the mud all by yourself. But once you left, there was not a word from you for 800 years, and all the while you unnecessarily tormented yourself down below. You've been ascended for some time now, but not once have you reported to the Palace of Divine Might. If anyone else was this impertinent, the Palace of Lingwen would have censored them directly. Of course, Shalian's I'm sorry earlier wasn't directed to this matter, and Junwoo was aware of this also. This is so crazy. He's like, you were busy hurting yourself down there after I fucking banished you. He added, if your apology was for those few sword attacks, then let it go. You said it yourself. All is forgotten after a stabbing. Shalian smiled wryly. How could I forget? Then look to the future, Junwoo replied quietly. There is still much we need you for. Shalian rubbed his forehead. Shanla is but a lowly scrap immortal, without power. There is no need for me. I only hope not to be a burden. Why deprecate yourself so? Did you not perform splendidly in the last two cases? Junwoo said. Except I may have offended General Pei, Shalian sighed ruefully. Ming Guang is fine. I will keep an eye on him. You do not need to worry. However, Junwoo turned around. Tell me, what kind of extraordinary character did you engage with when you descended this time? Oh my god. Oh my god. He's like, tell me about your boyfriend. Tell me about your little boyfriend. Shalian raised his hand. My lord, I swear I did nothing. Just one day, by chance, I encountered an interesting young man on the road, and we spent some time together. I didn't think much of it. Junwoo nodded. Chance encounter. Young man. Supreme Ghost King. Shanla, surely you are aware what the consequences would be if Ming Guang were to question you further, and you confessed to this in front of the other officials. No one would believe you. Shanla knows, Shalian replied woefully. So I am grateful for my lord's timely intervention. My lord, you're not actually going to interrogate me, are you? I wouldn't collude with the Ghost Realm. These are absurd concerns. Naturally, I know you would not intentionally collude with the Ghost Realm, Junwoo said. I am grateful for my lord's trust, Shalian replied. However, with things thus, it may no longer be appropriate to send you to investigate an urgent matter that I have on hand. What is it? Shalian inquired. At this time, the two of them reached the chamber behind the great hall, separated from the main hall by a large mural. The front depicted a golden palace towering above a sea of clouds, radiant and brilliant. The back of the mural was another view, depicting mountains and valleys spanning over an enormous distance. Gazing over the expanse of the painting, one could see many tiny pearls embedded on this giant map, glinting like stars. Each one of those pearls embedded on the map represented the location of a temple of divine might built in the mortal realm. There's a picture. "800 years earlier, when Jun Wu brought the newly ascended Shalian to those inner halls, the twinkling stars on the mural weren't as dense, but now the shimmering jewels seemed to fill one's vision, overwhelming in their radiance." Jun Wu stood before the mural and pointed at a place in the east. 7 days ago, many saw with their own eyes a dragon of fire suddenly soaring into the sky from the deep mountains in this area. Shalian's face grew serious. Jun Wu, with one hand behind his back, used the other to softly rap on a place on the mural. That dragon of fire lasted for 2 incense time before burning out. In that time, many witnessed the sight, but not a single person was injured. Do you know what that means? The spell for the ascending fire dragon emits intense flames that do not harm but can be seen by many due to the vast expanse of its display. It's a call for help, Shalian replied. Correct. It was a distress signal, and it came from a heavenly official, Jun Wu said. And it's no ordinary call for help. It's one of desperation, Shalian added. The flames of the ascending fire dragon spell were extremely intense and needed to be strictly controlled to avoid causing any harm. Those strict controls would most assuredly drain an immense amount of a heavenly official's spiritual power. If the casting official was not careful, their powers could easily backfire and they would destroy themselves in the process. Unless they were absolutely desperate, very few heavenly officials would take such a risk. A sighting of this nature meant that a heavenly official had fallen into grave peril with no other options left. Are there any officials whose whereabouts are currently unknown? Shalian asked. The Banyue Pass case was not the only reason all officials were summoned back to court. The main purpose was to use this chance to investigate everyone's whereabouts. Aside from those who did not show, like the Rain Master and the Earth Master, even those who couldn't make it back reported in. Aside from those who usually do not show, like the Rain Master and the Earth Master, even those who couldn't make it back reported in. Shalian contemplated for a moment, then speculated. Maybe it wasn't any of the officials from this term. Maybe it's one of the retired officials. If that is the case, then I'm afraid our search parameters will need to expand. Many retired officials lost contact with the heavens long ago. It would be impossible to deduce who could be the one in peril, Jun Wu said. So this was probably why Ling Wen and many of the civil officials had dark circles under their eyes and walked with such weak steps. They were working constantly on the case. No wonder they couldn't break away to investigate the whereabouts of that boy with the human face disease from Mount Yujin. Shalian ascended. To corner a heavenly official to the point where they would use such a self-destructive spell, there must be great evil at work. Are there any demonic gatherings or lairs in that area? There are, Jun Wu replied, and very close by. Do you know of Ghost City? Shalian thought about it and replied, I've heard of it. Ghost City was the most prosperous place within the Ghost Realm, situated right at the crossroads of the mortal and the ghost realms. It was where all manner of ghosts gathered in swarms to conduct trade and exchange, and it was a complete pandemonium. Some cultivators of a certain skill level would venture there to do business or seek information. Sometimes there would even be heavenly officials in disguise, touring the city for curiosity's sake or other unspeakable reasons. Once in a while, there would also be those who'd entered by mistake, and they would either be eaten alive or scared half to death. Since ancient times, although not as ancient as Shalian, there had always been many tales of Ghost City in the mortal realm. Shalian remembered one of the stories had a man traveling at night who saw a bustling market before him decked out with large red lanterns and colorful signs. He entered the market in high spirits, but found that everyone around him wore a mask, and if they were not cloaked as such, then they were extremely ugly. Very curious. He didn't think deeply on it and bought a bowl of noodles and sat down to eat. But as he dug into his food and ate, the food didn't feel right. When he looked closely, the noodles were actually squirming strands of hair. Shalian brought himself back to the present, and Jun Wu continued. After that pillar of fire appeared, I immediately sent officials to investigate the area, but there were no evidence of anything, so it is very possible that they moved to Ghost City. However, the Heavenly Realm and the Ghost Realm have always drawn very clear borders, and without enough proof, we cannot intrude on Ghost City, which is why I need someone to descend in secret this time and investigate. We can't alert the enemy and have them move again, Shalian said. Is that why this couldn't be discussed openly at the Great Hall with everyone, to prevent information leaks? Correct, Jun Wu said. Then, my lord, pray give me, Shanla, your command. You were the first candidate I originally had in mind, Junwoo said. But for this, it may be inconvenient for you to go. Oh my god, he's being such a little bitch. How would it be inconvenient? Shalian asked. First, the east is guarded by Lan Chencho. If you should go, you would have to cooperate with him, Junwoo said. Shalian responded, That would not be a problem. Please rest assured. Second, Junwoo continued, do you know in whose territory Ghost City is seated? Shalian was slightly taken aback. Is it Hua Chung? Junwoo nodded slowly, and Shalian's guess was confirmed. But then, something else came to mind. That distress pillar of fire blazed up 7 days ago. Coincidentally, it was 7 days ago when Hua Chung left Puchi Shrine. The timing was too perfect. Could there be a connection between the two events? It would seem you have a rather good relationship with him. Which is fine, Junwoo said. Which is fine. I'm not suspicious. I'm not jealous. It's fine. I'm just saying. Junwoo said, The only thing I am concerned about is whether he is in... Sorry, let me read that again. It would seem you have a rather good relationship with him, which is fine, Junwoo said. The only thing I am concerned about is whether he is involved. If this makes it awkward for you, then do not force yourself. If you have any other suggestions or anyone you would nominate, do let me know. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, right. You can be friends, but no dating. However, Shalian still said, Let me go. I don't think Crimson Rain sought Flower as a disingenuous person. Junwoo looked at him. Shanla, I know you are very capable and know you are... Shanla, I know you are very capable and know what you are doing. However, I also know that you always think the best of everyone. Shalian gave a small smile at his words. Please don't say it like I'm a little princess who has never left home. Those words really don't suit me anymore. Junwoo shook his head. I should not comment on the friends you make, but I will say this. Be careful of Hua Chung. Oh my god. Hearing this, he's like, you can be friends, that's fine, but also be careful. Like, oh my god, pick a side. Oh please, he's a guy. Hearing this, Shalian bowed his head slightly, keeping his eyes down and saying nothing. He should have responded with, Yes, my lord, as he should have been able to say yes with ease, but by that point, yet for some reason, he really didn't want to say that particular yes. Be especially careful of that wicked blade of his, Junwoo added. What do you mean? Shalian asked. See, we're at the beginning of book 2, and we've already gotten such a grand sense that Shalian is like, heaven is the good place. I actually think heaven is the bad place. So forgive me for not really wanting to comply to your rules, okay? Hua Chung has been the nicest guy I've met in literally 800 years. So forgive me for not really wanting to abide by heaven, who's treated me like shit. It's rules. What do you mean? Shalian asked. The scimitar Ameng is a cursed blade, a blade of misfortune. To forge such an evil weapon would require terrifyingly cruel sacrifice and bloody determination. Do not touch it, and do not let it touch you either. If you do, the consequences will be unimaginable, Junwoo replied. Shalian couldn't tell where his sudden sense of confidence came from, but inwardly he thought, Sanlang probably wouldn't strike at me with a blade. Still, he responded, Shanla understands. Junwoo nodded. I will of course be at ease knowing that you have taken this case. Since this does not make things awkward for you, then it is ideal. Nonetheless, going on this mission alone may be too much. Are there any officials you would like to join you? It doesn't matter, Shalian said, after some thought. But preferably someone easy to get along with. It'd be best if they're powerful too, so they can lend me some spiritual power sometimes. Because you fucking sealed mine. Junwoo smiled. You disqualified both Nanyang and Xuanzhen with the first condition. That was true. No one could say that Feng Xin and Mu Qing of today were personalities that were easy to get along with. Shalian started chuckling too. How are things between the three of you? Have you spoken with them yet? Junwoo asked. He's so nosy! The Heavenly Emperor himself never entered the communication array, and thus was naturally unaware of the buzzing chit-chat that went on among the officials. We spoke a few words, Shalian replied. It's been so many years, and yet you have only spoke a few words, Junwoo inquired. Ah, yes. I heard that when you ascended this time, you destroyed many of your fellow officials' palaces, one of which was Nanyang's. Shalian argued back. I paid back that debt, all 8,888,000 merits, and for this, I need to thank my lord for giving me the opportunity to go to Mount Yujin. Thank Nanyang, Chunyu replied. I heard Ling Wen say it was he who privately approached her and said there was no need for you to pay back the reconstruction cost. Another win for Nanyang. Oh my god. Shalian was stunned. I didn't know about this at all. No wonder those 8,880,000 merits were so easily repaid if it turned out that so much of it had already been intentionally forgiven. Yet at the time, it was the Palace of Nanyang that suffered the most damage. He'd been told half of the golden roof had collapsed. Nanyang made sure Ling Wen would not tell you, so you were naturally unaware. Since he did not want you to know, it would be best to continue feigning ignorance, Junwu said. Shalian didn't know how to feel about this. Complicated and bittersweet feelings clouded his mind, and his thoughts scattered all over the place. Finally, he only sighed soundlessly and thought, truly in this world, the words, don't tell anyone, are empty. Junwu contemplated for a moment, then asked once more, if Nanyang and Xuanzhen will not do, how about the Windmaster? Shalian pondered the option. Lord Windmaster is a very good person, but I don't know if she would want to go on this mission with me. The Windmaster is powerful, Junwu said, a lively person who enjoys making friends, and thus matches your first condition of easy to get along with. When reporting in with me, the Windmaster also spoke well of you. I think you two will be fine. If you do not have any questions, then descend with the Windmaster and go forth investigate Ghost City. Also, yes? Junwu said unhurriedly, work hard, but do not force yourself. Shalian was startled by those words. A moment later, he smiled. What is my lord saying? I'm not forcing myself. Junwu patted Shalian's shoulders. Return to the palace of Shanla to rest for now. I will send word to summon the Windmaster. Shalian blinked. I don't have enough merits, so no palace has been erected. The palace of Shanla for the past has long since been torn down. So what palace of Shanla? I have granted you a new one, Junwu said. You cannot possibly always cram yourself into that decrepit little shrine. Oh my god. Shalian left the Palace of Divine Might and was led to the Palace of Shanla by a junior official from Junwu's palace. The fact that he's like, your fucking dirty little shrine, right? He's like, I love that little shrine, and I lay there with my boyfriend, Sanlang, who just so happens to be your main adversary, okay? And I like him a lot better than you. This Palace of Shanla was very nearly an exact copy of the one he had in the past, glazed tiles with red walls, sumptuous and elegant. He stood outside the palace gates for a long time, but not a shred of desire to enter came to him. The scrap immortal was still best suited to a scrapped shrine, after all. A proud and glamorous heavenly palace like this wasn't a place he could stay. He loitered outside the entrance and waited for Lord Windmaster to come find him, but after a while, the one who appeared was unexpectedly not the lady cultivator in white, Taoist robes, but another white-clad cultivator. The Kiss cultivator was in glowing spirits, with an air of transcendence fluttering about him. It was the one from the meeting at the Palace of Divine Might, who had randomly fought with Pei Ming, Qingxuan. He waved his whisk, a smile hanging from his lips. Greetings, your highness! Shalian smiled back. Greetings, fellow cultivator. Truthfully, he really wanted to ask who he was, but he thought it'd be rude. He was about to sneak a peek at his scroll to see which heavenly official was named Qingxuan, when the person in question walked up to him and exclaimed, Let's go! Let's go take a stroll down below! Shalian was taken aback. My friend, I'm waiting for someone. Hearing this, the cultivator stuffed his whisk into the back collar of his outer robe and turned around in wonder. Who else are you waiting for? I'm waiting for Lord Windmaster, Shalian replied. The white-clad cultivator looked even more confused. Aren't I right here? ... Shalian's brows jumped. You're the Windmaster? The other flashed open his fan and started fanning. I am the Windmaster. Was there ever any doubt? Did you not know who I was? Have you never heard my name? The Windmaster Qingxuan? His tone was irrefutable and absolute, strong and confident, as if Shalian not knowing his name was an impossible thought to entertain. Kate sent a donation in the communication ray and said, You're waiting for me. Which is what the Windmaster says in the dub. And Emmy also donated it and said the same thing. You're waiting for me. The folding fan had the word for wind, feng, written on the front, while the back had 3 flowing inclining lines, the exact same fan that the lady cultivator in white had had. Shalian suddenly recalled that Fu Yao had mentioned that some upper court heavenly officials, under special circumstances, had the ability to transform their appearance, while at Banyue, Nanfeng had also uttered an incomplete sentence. The Windmaster had always been... ... Had always been... Been what? A man? Orion's belt donated and said, man or woman, I know I am drop dead gorgeous. Thank you for donating. After getting dragged for a few steps, Shalian still couldn't fully process this information. Lord Windmaster, why did you disguise yourself as a woman last time? What? Was I not beautiful? The Windmaster asked. Or what? Was I not beautiful? Yes, but Shalian was still confused. If I was beautiful, then there's no but, as long as I look good. The Windmaster smiled brightly. Of course, it's because I knew I'd look good that I was in disguise. Having said that, he looked like he'd suddenly come up with an idea and closed his fan. He gave Shalian a once-over with a calculating expression, then spoke after a moment. Speaking of which, don't we need to go undercover for this mission to Ghost City? ... Question mark, Shalian replied. And that's the end of the chapter. Why was I a woman? Because I look great as a woman. Is that so hard to understand? Are you confused? That's so funny. It's because I knew I'd look good. I knew I'd look good as a woman. That's why I was in disguise. That is so funny. That's how I feel like when I dress like a girl. Even though I am a girl. Oh my god. Okay, guys. I gotta go to hockey. I'm gonna think about the Windmaster. I'm gonna score 9,000 goals. Okay? It's gonna be wicked. So we need to do makeovers for this mission? I don't think so. Too late. Makeovers! Oh my gosh. Okay. Dude, tomorrow we need to discuss at the beginning of the next stream that chat with fucking Jun Woo. Holy shit. Okay? Oh my god. And anything if anyone's confused about anything. But oh my god. Think about Jun Woo. Okay? Oh my god. Thank you, Esper Lady. Alright. And Silver's Witch, thank you. I'll let you guys know if we win. We're gonna win. We gotta win. Okay. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!